Welcome everyone to another episode of the Train Studio. I'm your host, Sean Morris. Tonight on the Train Studio update, I have for you a little bit of progress on the 28mm project. Mainly, I've been working on the moss, the sort of the grassy portions on the stones, and I've gone ahead and actually affixed some portions to the board, so it's starting to get kind of solidified here in terms of permanent fixtures and placements of stuff. So as you can see, I've gone ahead and put in the mossy sections on the rockways here, and I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Actually, I've gone in and done the dual tone moss and just sort of snuck that in there. So as you can see, it's really organic, kind of growing in between. It's not all in the cracks; some of it's actually over the stones and sort of just mixed in. So I'm okay with lots of green, to be honest, because I think it really breaks up the stone, and I think it gives it really an organic look. And these have been here for, let's say, a long period of time, very rounded stone and such. So I'm okay with a lot of greens. So I might actually even be adding a little bit more to that, just because I really like the look of that. Likewise, over here, I've gone in and affixed this portion here, so this is now solidified. I'm really happy with how that debris turned out. I get really stoked every time I see that section of the board. I think it really turned out to be, it's really, although it's stale and not moving, it really looks, you can kind of really get the sense that this is just a fresh collapse, and the debris is still kind of laying around and hasn't sort of really settled out yet. So again, likewise with the moss here, growing up under the bridge and all that that good stuff, and then that sort of flowing into the sewer, or not really a sewer, but you can get the point, the sort of the drain in there. So when I was doing the placement, you guys have seen that there, but that's the section I did last night. I just put the ink on there to bring it up to the same coloration, so it's ready to be kind of worked on. And I really wanted the roots kind of growing over those rocks and kind of giving that sort of a narrative over there. But in looking at the table, I noticed that this portion here is particularly low in comparison to not only the other side but also the rest of the table. So this is really flat sort of section, and although it's nice to be able to view this, I think you can get the same sort of a look from this angle here. So I wanted to do something with this, and I just figured, to tie in sort of to that portion over there. So what I did is I decided to go with a dead tree here in the swamp, and we'll get some comments on that, see what you guys think about that. But I thought, this sort of deadfall portion here, swamps don't always have the most life in them. They do have some life, but for whatever reason, this tree here decided to kick the bucket and move along. And I could possibly do some dead leaf foliage on that, and that might be a little bit nicer. And I think that's what I'll probably do. Just do some some sort of really olive tones to it. And I've already done the coloration on the tree, this little grayish brown, to kind of signify that it's past its prime days. So, and I think that'll be a nice contrast in relation to that over there. So I won't. It's nothing too drastic. So it's just a hole. I can obviously cover that with a tuft of any sort. So, but I really wanted to kind of create some obscurity to that, and also kind of bring this in line with what was going on over there. A little bit lower, but not as low as it could be. So when speaking with the moss, although I really like it, and I said I want to up the green, I thought it was really flat. Like this portion is really incredibly flat, and likewise over here too. It's growing there, but it's not lively enough. So in thinking about it and working on the project, I decided to do. I wasn't happy with the ivy. I thought the ivy looked a little too drastic in terms of color comparison. So what I did is and hopefully this is going to be to everyone's liking because it's already affixed and permanently attached, but what I did is I went ahead and added some three-dimensional, I'm just going to move the camera here for a second so I can drop this bridge into place. Not drop, but place gently and carefully with one hand if possible. Not quite going to work. go. Awesome. Okay, so what I did is I added some three-dimensional moss. And hopefully you guys are going to be happy with the look. So I did the same sort of technique, get a little light flare there, same sort of technique as I did on the wall, but here I went in and started adding in three-dimensional moss. So as you can see, or hopefully you can see, it really gives a more organic look to it. So you get the moss colorations in here, and then what I did is I added in sort of that other moss for nice depth. And if I can rotate this around with one hand without it crashing onto the table, it's getting a little big and it's definitely heavy. So if I rotate that around, get the same sort of look over here as well. And I apologize for the color, but so hopefully you guys I wish that color was better for you guys. Hopefully you guys are getting the sense of what that looks like, and now it's really got that, you know, that look of being sort of mossy covered and overgrown, and not too overgrown. Like I think there's enough green showing. Now with the coloration, the suggestions of the rocks and the inks and all that stuff that you guys added, suggestion wise, and then with this sort of two-tone moss look, I think we really got a nice looking table here. And as I back up and the coloration will change a little bit, you can really get that sort of organic feel. So hopefully you guys are happy with that, and I think it's really shaping up nicely. So the plan this evening is to go back and do this side of the bridge, and then touch up the walls. You know, I'm using it also as a gap filler. So remember, perhaps when I was before you can remember when I was building the bridge, that gap that's there. So obviously the gap's still in some portions, and I'm a little bit lower than the bridge level here. So at eyes level, and obviously where you view it, you don't see it, but it does create a nice space to bring that moss down. And I do apologize again, guys, for that coloration, but hopefully I can adjust that later and then give you guys a better look. But really starting to shape up nicely. And I'm just going to keep plugging away and get more of that three-dimensional stuff in. And if you're curious about that product, it's actually this product here. It's called Briar Patch. It's by Scenic Express, and it just basically comes in a thing like a little plug like this, just on this sort of spaghetti string stuff. And they just basically place it, and it's supposed to signify, you know, a briar is just really overgrown and dense. But what I'm doing is I'm going in, actually clipping off individual pieces about that big and hand gluing them in to create this sort of look. And you know, I've done little things like have it sort of sneaking in by these pillars in you know, small unique areas. You know, I've done a little bit of the moss sort of growing up and along the walls and in the cracks, and